Hey you guys, Eric here, and welcome to day one of my 90-day Fit for Life challenge. This is a challenge that I talked about last week, or at least I said that the challenge was going to be called Better You Challenge, but Nyla suggested that I stick with this 90-day Fit for Life challenge, and I actually like that a lot more. And that's basically what I'll be going with moving forward. Basically, this is a journey of me losing weight and getting into the type of shape that I really want to be in. And I want to be sharing the first 90 days with you guys in these series of videos that will be coming up over the next 90 days. So before I get into sharing more of those details of sharing my day one, I want to be covering a few housekeeping items. First off, I have a daily healthy newsletter that I want to be sharing with you guys. This is a newsletter that I've created, and basically it's just me scrounging around and finding some tips and information that I can be sharing with you guys, because yes, I'm all about growing myself, and that's basically what these videos are all going to be about, but obviously I want to be helping you guys grow into better people as well. So I want to be sharing as much value as I can, and I feel like this newsletter that I'm creating will help out a lot. It will provide some quotes for motivation purposes. I'll be providing some tips for health and for dieting. And of course, I'll be sharing my journey as well and talking about that whole thing. So there's a lot of value that I'm packing into this newsletter, and it's going to be out every single day at noon Atlantic Standard Time. So if you guys want to subscribe to it, there will be a link down in the description below, so you guys can go and subscribe to that. But you can also subscribe on my blog as well. The other thing I want to be covering as well is that I will be using the hashtag 90-day Fit for Life challenge on my social media accounts. I will be using that in Instagram stories as well as on Twitter and Facebook. I'll be just sharing my meals and talking about that sort of thing. So I will be using that hashtag, and I strongly encourage you guys to go and use that hashtag as well if you guys want to be partaking in this journey along with me and eating certain ways. And as long as you're eating healthy foods, you can use that hashtag and make a post on that, and you can tag me in that as well if you guys want to as well. All my links for my social media are down in the description below, so if you guys want to be knowing in advance what sort of meals I'm going to be eating and all of that stuff, then before I make these videos, then you guys can go and check out, or you guys can go and follow me on there, and you can go and check out all of that content. But anyway, enough of me just yammering about that. I want to be talking about my day one of this 90-day challenge. Now, as far as this challenge goes, Nyla created this whole challenge for me, or at least she gave me this idea, and she's given me a couple of parameters that I need to be working around with. So there's that whole thing, and I'll be talking about those in more detail over the next little while. But I want to be taking some time to be focusing more so on the way that I'm eating, because those were kind of the challenges that I've been facing on my first day, and that was one thing that I actually realized. The first thing that I want to be talking about is processed foods, and this is something that it's a slight problem in my diet because I don't really eat that many processed foods. It's usually the more processed foods I have, or boxed food I have, usually for supper time, and normally my lunch and my breakfast are relatively healthy and are relatively good for me. So I don't really run into problems until supper time, and that was one thing that I've been at least working on getting over, especially with this challenge that I have on me. So that is one thing that I'm struggling a lot with, is processed foods, because I did have this kind of unusual craving for processed cheese slices yesterday for lunch, and that was one thing that I had. I didn't put any mayo on my sandwich that I had, and here's like a picture of my food that I had for lunch, and I didn't put any mayo on that, which was good. But as far as the cheese slice goes, usually those are some red flags, or at least those are some problems that people can run into, because processed food drains your energy. That was one thing that I learned from Peter Vogg's book, 6 Months to Six Figures. He said that you want to obviously be keeping your energy very high, and processed foods actually bring it down. But also processed foods in general are not really good at all for you. It's just that one thing that I need to be working on for myself. But the other thing that is a little bit more concerning and is more of a challenge for me is a low calorie intake. One thing that I was doing some research on was low calories, and a lot of people would say that obviously low calorie diets is kind of good for you because you're taking in less calories and you would actually burn a lot of weight if you actually intake a lower amount of calories. I've read some articles that will argue that it doesn't actually work, and some of them are nutritionists, health experts, people who have been doing this for a really long time. And that was one thing that they talked about is low fat diets, or not low fat diets, low calorie diets are actually reasons for you to gain weight, because what happens is that your body adapts to the way that you're eating. And basically, if you stick with low calories, you're going to be starving yourself, or you're going to have all of these intense cravings. But also, the calories that you won't be burning as many calories because your body is running on less fuel. Your food is basically your fuel, and in order for you to burn more fat or more weight, you need to be eating a little bit more. And one thing that I noticed for my day yesterday was that I had a very low intake of calories. I had very light meals, and only my lunch was actually really big, and that was about 500 or almost 600 calories. And the other, and compared to my breakfast and lunch, those two were about 300 combined, and I burned all of that through my exercising that I did from my walking and this other workout routine that Nyla is getting me to do. So I basically burned off two of my meals and put a little bit of a dent in my lunch as far as calories go, and that's and it's just something that I have to be conscious about as far as like low calorie diets goes, because yeah, it can be a problem. I can actually gain more weight because my body adapts and it doesn't burn off the weight or the fat that I've accumulated. And that actually might be the reason why I've actually gained a little bit more weight, because the last time I weighed myself, before I started all of this and started being a little bit more conscious about my weight, I was at about 213. And when I weighed myself to start this challenge, I was at 216. So I actually gained a little bit of weight because of just the way that I'm eating, and also probably inactivity as well. But anyway, those are those kinds of struggles that I'm facing, but clearly I'm learning. I'm going through it, and I plan on making it through these 90 days, and I have high hopes that I will be losing a lot of weight through this challenge, and of course I want to be sharing that journey with you guys as well. Anyway, that's all that I wanted to be sharing for today. My name is Eric, and I will see you guys next time. And as always, stay awesome.